to a comfortable seat, and then take your hands and then just place them underneath you. And just start to rock your weight side to side, and then notice your sitting bones underneath you. Then place your hands either in your lap, on top of your thighs, or resting on your kneecaps. And we're actually gonna do something a little bit different to start. I'd like you to just take your hands and then place them on either side of your rib cage. And there's nothing else to do here besides breathe. So just notice your rib cage pressing up into your hands as you inhale. And as you exhale, just notice your rib cage knitting in towards one another. Just do this a couple of times. And as we start the practice, you might, as you inhale, place a little bit more attention, pressing your ribcage into the palms of your hands, taking a really deep breath. And then as you exhale, squeezing the air out of your chest, your diaphragm and belly. So let's take a few rounds of that deeper breath here as we settle in. Notice that subtle lift of your chest as you do this, almost like your chest we're trying to lift towards the bottom of your chin. Okay, so just breathe normally here, but keep your hands exactly as they are. And then keep drawing your elbows down. Soften the muscles around your eyes and ears. Just start to place your attention towards the space behind your eyes. Okay, and so from here, you're gonna take your hands, and you can blink your eyes open in this moment, and then you'll close them. So you're gonna take your fingers and almost like thread them in between your rib cage. It's gonna feel really peculiar. And so right underneath your rib cage, and I want you to focus on like the particular solid parts of your rib cage as opposed to the ones that are like hanging down. And then just start to knead that space underneath your rib cage, the space that kind of hugs your diaphragm. And if you feel like any point you're going a little bit too intensely, I'd like you just to stop and then hold back. So just start to really gently massage. You can create like a circular pattern with your fingertips into the base of your ribs. You can even take your fingers and trace in between your rib cage. And then just breathe normally here. And the purpose behind this is, as many of you know, our whole body is covered in this fascia, this like webbing. And sometimes when we're feeling particularly anxious or just really feeling a lot of emotions, our breath can get stuck in the fascia right around a rib cage. So sometimes it's helpful just to knead this out. And if you're a body worker, you are already familiar with this type of action. Okay. Just place your hands into your lap. You can soften your gaze or close your eyes and just breathe normally here for a few more rounds of breath. And see if you notice a difference, if you can breathe with a little bit more ease. Now that we've cleared a little bit of space. That action, I like to compare it to almost like cleaning out the cobwebs in the corners of our body. Then open your eyes and pick up your hands, and you're gonna place your pointer finger and thumb together. And then take your left hand, I'll mirror you here. Take your left hand and then just place this mudra into your navel, and then your right hand above the crown of your head. And I want you to imagine that there was a string in your right hand, so that as you inhale, you are pulling the string up and drawing your navel in, sitting up a little bit taller. And then exhale, you relax the string and bring your fingers down towards the crown. So do this a couple of times. Inhale, raise your right hand up. And exhale, relax. Do this with your eyes closed 3 more rounds. Don't forget that as you inhale, your left fingers gather in towards your navel as it draws towards your spine. As you exhale, your belly softens into your left fingers. Do one more. And as you exhale, just place your hands on top of your knees. Cup your kneecaps. Sit up tall. And then just start to rock your torso in a circular pattern forward, to the right, and then back behind you, puffing up your upper back, and then to the left. So as you do this, keep your sitting bones grounded. Don't allow this circular pattern, these barrel rolls, to compromise the grounding of your seat. Take your time. Imagine that you're just scraping the inside of a peanut butter jar with your shoulders. And the next time your torso is tilted forward, pause, and then just go in the exact opposite direction. Okay. Press into your palms and sit up tall. Keep cupping your kneecaps. And then start to bend your elbows, draw them in, and then pull your heart forward, shoulder blades towards your spine, and gaze up. And then exhale, start to straighten your arms. Pull against your kneecaps and then round. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Just do this a couple of times, a seated cat-cow to wake up our spine. We will, of course, do this in the more exaggerated fashion in a moment. Let's do one more. On your next inhale, pull your heart forward, place your palms down, and then roll over your shins. Come to hands and knees or tabletop. Okay, so we're gonna spend a little bit of time in tabletop, so make sure that you're supporting yourself with whatever props that you need underneath your knees if you need to. Start by tucking all 10 of your toes. Press into the heels of your hands, spread your fingers wide. Okay. And so as we do this, I think I gave this cue sometime during this week. As you inhale, as you tip your sitting bones up and soften your belly, imagine that you were trying to bring your tailbone towards the back of your head. As you exhale, round so much that you could feel like the crown of your head were pulling towards your pubic bone. So you might feel, as we move through this cat-cow motion of the spine, inhale and gaze forward, pull back, that it might feel a little bit more exaggerated. So just keep going and imagining that. Let's do one more complete round of this traditional cat-cow. Okay. On your next inhale, come into a neutral tabletop and then untuck your toes. Okay. As you inhale, soften your belly, lift your sitting bones, and pull your heart forward for cow with untucked toes. And as you exhale, round your spine, tuck your toes, press into your hands and toes, and then maybe hover your knees 1 inch off the earth. Lower your knees, untuck your toes, and then start to arch your spine, shoulders draw back, gaze forward. Exhale, round through your spine, puff up your upper back, and then tuck your toes, maybe lift up your knees. So keep going. Moving in between an untucked toe, cow, and then what I like to call super cat. Feel like you're being pulled up by the back of your heart. Let's do one more round like this. Okay. Come into a neutral tabletop. Walk your hands forward 1 handprint. So you're in a wider, longer tabletop. From here, start to rock your shoulders over your wrist creases. And then now stare at the space, maybe in between your pointer finger. So you keep a long, smooth back and neck. Step 1 foot back at a time to plank, top of a push-up. Beautiful, take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, stay, but just start to squeeze your upper back up, shoulder blades draw towards your side body. As you inhale, start to hover your knees towards the earth. So you're bending them slowly. And then as you exhale, push your heels back to straighten your legs. 2 more like that. Inhale, so the subtle pulsation. And then exhale, push your heels back. 1 more. This time as you inhale, bend your knees. But like there was a string tied to your tailbone, lift up your sitting bones, downward facing dog. Once you're in downward facing dog, you can pedal out your feet by bending 1 knee and lowering the opposite heel, and then switching. Keep pressing down into the heels of your hands. Your biceps are framing your ears. Okay, so in downward facing dog, make sure that your feet are a little bit wider than hips width distance. Bend your knees, gaze at your hands. Slide your hands back 1 handprint towards your feet. Bend your knees, lift your sitting bones up. Do that again. Slide your hands back 1 handprint. You might notice that you can now lower your heels. And then keep going, sliding your hands back, back, until you're at a forward fold at the back of your mat. Keep your knees super bent. Lift and spread your sitting bones like you were trying to make an imprint of your butt in the wall behind you. And then clasp opposite hand to elbow point. So that's a really methodical way to walk towards the back of your mat. And I won't always, as we move through this first round of a flow, our sun salutation, I'm not going to be cueing you that deliberately, but just keep that in mind, that as you walk your hands back, you're continually lifting up from your sitting bones. Okay. Take your hands and release them, but then slide them up towards your hip creases like crab claws. Bend your knees slightly and ground the soles of your feet down. And again, like that string tied to the crown of your head, we're pulling it forward. Start to engage your navel towards your spine and then come up for a halfway lift. Take your hands and place them in the middle of your thighs. Push the back of your thighs back and the crown of your head forward. Hug your navel in towards your spine. 1 more round of breath here. Ground down with your feet and then slowly rise all the way up. Sweep your arms forward and up. And then exhale, swivel your hands on top of your heart. Soften your gaze or close your eyes. Just recalibrate your breath here before we start to move. On your next inhale, release your hands by your sides and blink open your eyes. Sweep your arms forward and up. And as you exhale, Plant your hands towards one another and then fold forward, like in a traditional prayer shape. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Bend your knees and plant your hands down. Start to walk your hands forward. Take as many handprints as you need to come up to a plank position, top of a push-up. Inhale here. And as you exhale, stay. Inhale, just start to bend your knees and pulse them down. And as you exhale, push your heels back. This time as you bend your knees, now start to lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So that'll be your flow. We'll do that 2 more times. Start to walk your hands back towards your feet. So I want you to feel like you're being lifted up by your sitting bones as opposed to collapsing your weight into your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Bring your palms to touch. And then as you exhale, gaze forward and then fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your palms down, gaze forward. And that same thing, just walk your hands forward. And just notice your mat underneath your hands as you glide forward to a plank. Inhale, pulse your knees down. Exhale, push out from your heels to plank. Inhale, bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. And then again, lift up by your sitting bones, bend your knees, and then walk your hands back. Feel like your fingertips were just skimming the earth as you come back. Inhale, halfway lift, last round. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Palms to touch. And then exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant your hands and then just start to walk them forward. Almost like you were a bear climbing forward. Inhale, bend and pulse. This time as you exhale, press your heels back, crown of your head forward, but pause. Take 1 more round of breath here in a plank. And then as you exhale, either lower your knees down or as you squeeze your elbows in toward your side body, make your way onto your belly and then untuck your toes. Slide your hands underneath your forehead, palms stacked, and then lower your forehead towards the back of your hands. So just pause here in a pranam. Relax your shoulders, your elbows, and your wrists, your belly. You start to notice that action. We're warming up our body really deliberately here, but I want you to still imagine those 2 opposing actions of apana, that force down. So you're breathing down and you're anchoring your body, but prana, which is the force up. And so that's the breath. And slide your hands underneath your shoulders. And then press up through hands and knees or plank. Make sure that you tuck your toes either way. And then bend your knees, lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So now we're gonna do the reverse. So look at your toes, spread through your fingers, bend your knees. Walk your toes maybe 3 inches forward. Keep bending your knees, lifting your tailbone up, and then do that again. Walk your toes forward, and then keep going. So it's a similar action. You're just walking forward. We do this action all the time, but I want you just to imagine that tailbone lifting up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. And then exhale, just let your hands rest by your sides. Okay, so here we're gonna do a little bit of balance. So make sure that your feet are about hips width distance apart. And I'd like you to lift all 10 of your toes just to start. And then feel like the big toe mound we're anchoring you down. That's going to be key, so that as you lower all 10 of your toes, you feel that gripping action. That's really going to help. So I'm not going to mirror you here because I'm going to have to turn my gaze in a moment. So place weight into your right foot, and then we're all going to lift our left foot up for a one-legged Tadasana. So don't worry about the height of your knee. If you want, you can squeeze it in. And then just start to move your right or your left knee over to the left. Keep slight bending of the right knee so you've got some stability there. And then draw your knee forward. I'm going to turn forward. Okay, so now take your hands and place them along your hip creases. Bend your right knee and then push out through the ball of your left foot. And then step it back as far as you can. And then lower your hands down. Okay, so you're in a low lunge from here. So just make sure that in this first pass through this flow, your right knee is above the right ankle. Left heel is above the ball of your left foot, left ball of the foot. Press down into your finger pads, and then now slowly come all the way up once again. Sweep your arms forward and up with the palms facing forward, and then just pause here. Keep straightening through the left leg, like there was a string tied to the back of your left thigh, pushing it up. Hug muscle to bone here. Soften your shoulders, but flare your fingers. Inhale here. And as you exhale, wave your hands down and gaze forward. Let your fingertips skim the earth, but then inhale, press into your hands and raise your arms up. And then exhale, swim your hands forward and down, like you were reaching forward with your fingernails. One more like that. Inhale. And this time as you exhale, pause. Plant your hands to frame your right foot. Ground down into your hands. Now listen carefully. You're going to take your right foot and then scoop the knee in. First, press into your palms, scoop the foot in, and then push out through the right heel for a three-legged dog. Exhale, lower your toes down. Inhale, ripple forward to a plank position, top of a push-up. Exhale, lower your knees down or just hug your elbows in and make your way onto your belly. Untuck your toes. Slide your hands on either side of your chest. Press down into the tops of your feet and then slowly rise up, cobra. Exhale, lower. You do that 2 more times. Inhale, waking up your back body. Exhale, lower. 1 more. Tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees or plank, you choose. And then exhale, bend your knees. Lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Okay. And then now just start to step your way forward to the top of your space. So you know I'm not an advocate for the hop forward. If I could, I would take 20 steps forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Come all the way up. And exhale, lower your hands down. So let's start with that one-legged Tadasana. And if it helps, you can always lift all 10 of your toes and then lower them down. I'm not gonna necessarily do all of those same alignment cues. Bring weight into your left foot, but make sure that you keep a slight bend in your left knee. And then slowly raise your right leg up. You choose the height here, and if you wanna clasp it, just to give it a squeeze. And then slowly bring your right knee over to the right. And then forward, waking up her hip. And then from here, place your hands onto your hip and then push back with the ball of your right foot. Reach it back, 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 and then lower your fingertips down. Okay. So this is just to give us a reprieve for alignment's sake. Keep pulling your left hip back. Make sure the left knee is directly above the left ankle, and then come all the way up. The palms face forward, the thumbs in. Hug muscle to bone, especially in the right leg. Take 1 more breath in. As you exhale, slowly wave your fingertips down. Keep your core engaged. so that as you inhale, you'll feel stable in your legs as you come all the way up. Exhale, lower. One more. You're doing great. This time as you exhale, lower your palms down, frame your left foot and gaze forward. Now press into your palms a ton, squeeze your shoulder blades towards your side body so that as you squeeze your left knee in, you've got the space to push up through the ball of your left foot, three-legged dog. And exhale, just lower your toes down. Good. So we're in downward facing dog. Inhale, wave your body forward to plank. Exhale, lower down onto your belly. Maybe you lower your knees down. Untuck your toes. Okay, so from here, keep your chin down, your hands level with basically on either side of your chest, but pick up your toes 2 inches. Notice the engagement in the backs of your legs, like they just fired up. So now press into your palms and you're gonna pendulum your toes down, but your chest out for cobra. Exhale, lower. So you're gonna do that 2 more times, starting by picking up your toes first, engaging the legs, and then lifting your chest, but lowering your toes. Exhale, lower. This is how cobra should feel. One more time. And then exhale, lower onto your belly. Stack your palms underneath your forehead and then rest. And so if you do cobra and you ever feel like you are doing too much in your lower back, it's most likely because you're not engaging the backs of your legs. That is where the strength is generated. So you can always try that. It's the same thing. It's cobra, just a different entryway. Okay. Pick up your forehead and slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes. Press up through hands and knees or plank. And then we'll all meet in downward facing dog. So we're gonna add on to that flow. There are some parts that we'll take out and some parts we'll add. Gaze forward between your thumbs. And as you exhale, make your way to the top of your space. Forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. And exhale, lower your hands down. Okay. So here we've already been practicing and working on this one-legged Tadasana. So just remember that all of these balanced shapes are less about being completely still and more about like, what's my body doing? The proprioception of it. Where is my body in space? So bring weight into your right foot, raise your left leg up. So as you swivel your knee to the left, I'd like you to plant the ball of your left foot down either on the earth or slide it up to the inside of your right shin or all the way up. Okay, so we're gonna come into tree. It's a shape that I don't do too often. So you can place one hand on top of your heart, one hand on your belly. And pick a space in front of you that's not moving. Keep breathing, soften the muscles in your face. Relax the expression. Again, just notice what you notice. Notice what comes up. Like you are observing yourself above your body. Okay. And so start to lift your left knee, release your foot, and then push your left foot back. Take as many steps as you need. It always takes me a little while just to bring my left toes back. So we're gonna stay in a high lunge this time. Inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. Exhale, wave your arms forward and down. We're gonna do this one time. Push down into your feet. Inhale, rise up. Bring your palms to touch. Then exhale, open up into a warrior two. Pivot your left foot and extend your arms forward and back. Inhale, reverse warrior, tip back. Sweep your right arm up and overhead. And as you exhale, wave your arms forward and down. Once you plant your hands, lift your hips up and then pivot your left heel up. So you're coming back into a low lunge. And then exhale, step forward. Take as many hops as you need to bring your left foot forward. Shake out your legs. And then just slowly roll all the way up. Okay. So let's do that on the other side. Ground down into your left foot. And again, picking up the toes might be helpful just to feel the big toe mound down. And then start to raise your right knee up. And then move your right knee over to the right. And then you choose the height. Okay. And so pick a point in front of you that's not moving. And you can really place your hands anywhere. I like to have contact with my body. And just pause here and breathe. And so remember, the goal isn't to have this static position. Doesn't really make sense because our bodies are always moving anyway. But again, just notice what you notice. Imagine that there's a string tied to the crown of your head, pulling you up, lengthening your spine. And then slowly release your hands and then bring your right knee forward. And then push the ball of your right foot back. Okay. And then just scoot your right foot back and then sweep your arms forward and up. Exhale, wave your hands down till your fingers skim the earth. Inhale, push down into your feet, come all the way up. Palms to touch. Exhale, open up into a warrior two on the left. Inhale, reverse warrior, tip back. And then exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Once your hands are planted, pick up your hips and then pivot your right heel up for a low lunge. And then exhale, step forward. Okay. And so from here, keep your feet about hips width distance apart. If possible, you're going to take your peace sign fingers together and then you're going to loop them towards the inside edge of your big toe and then loop them around. Okay. It's hard to show on a screen. So once you have a hold of your big toe, press your big toe into your fingers and then bring your elbows wide. Press down into your big toe mound and then pull the crown of your head forward as much as you can. And as you exhale now, as you soften down, you can bend your elbows a little bit more and hinge forward. It's just a forward fold, little variation here. If you find that your big toes are a little far away, bend your knees more. Release your peace sign fingers and then come all the way up. Okay, last pass through and we're gonna add on. So we're gonna come into a standing figure four. The only problem with this scaffolding, I can't feel the wall. So if you find that balance, you wanna get into your hips more than play around with balance, you can always do this against the wall. Just imagine that I were right up against the wall and you can place your butt up against the wall, okay? So from here, bring weight into your right foot, raise your left, and then cross your ankle over the top of your right thigh. Now, before you completely hinge, I want you to feel this action of the back of your right thigh pulling back. You're pressing your ankle against your thigh, and then maybe placing your hand on your body. So stand up tall first. And then from here now, you can start to bring your hands maybe on either side of your hips, and then just start to sink back, bending your right knee. So here's where a wall can come in handy. So you can place your sitting bones up against a wall or place your fingertips down. Flex your left toes and feel like you're pushing your left knee out to the left even more. Just getting into the hips. You can, of course, do this in a more upright version for balance. Just make sure that you're not gripping and tensing your toes too much. And soften the expression on your face. Okay. So from here, push down into your right foot. And slowly pull the string tied to the crown of your head up. Lift up your left knee and then push back with the ball of your left foot. Come into a crescent lunge. Okay. Sweep your arms forward and up. Exhale, sweep them down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, palms to touch, and then open up into a warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. And exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Pick up your left heel and step forward. And shake out your legs. Okay. And then come all the way up whenever you're ready. We'll do that figure four on the other side. Okay. And again, support yourself as you need. And just be mindful that for me, my balance in my right leg is a little bit more stable than my left. So I always make adjustments. So just be mindful of that. So raise your right leg up and then cross your ankle. And then again, just hook your right ankle along the top of your left thigh and then push your left thigh back and stand up tall. Maybe clasp your hands in front of your heart. And then from here, then you choose your depth by sinking down. Maybe your seat is up against a wall or fingertips down. Keep lengthening your spine from your tailbone to the crown of your head. And slowly rise all the way up. Uncross your ankle and then push your right foot back behind you. Sweep your arms forward and up. Exhale, wave your hands down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. And exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Pick up your right heel. Gaze forward. Step your left foot back to meet your right foot plank. And then exhale, make your way onto your belly, either in one piece or lowering your knees down. Untuck your toes. Slide your palms underneath your forehead. And just let your body cool down. So from here, bring your chin down, take your hands and then reach towards your toes, the thumbs in and the palms up. Okay. Start to lift your toes up 2 inches and pull your toes away from you. But keep your legs elevated now, your legs engaged, and then start to lift your arms and your chest and towards your belly up for Shalambasan. Now exhale, lower everything down in one piece. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, anchor your pelvis, let your body rise up. Exhale, lower. Like you were trying to bring the back of your head and your heels towards one another. One more. And then exhale, lower. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders and then press up through hands and knees. Okay. All right, so just swivel your feet forward. Okay, let's do this little Navasana sway we've been doing pretty frequently, just to make sure that our belly is engaged. Slide your hands behind your knees and then perch up onto the tip of your sitting bones. Hug your elbows in and then bring the balls of your feet down. So lift your heels up. So your kneecaps are pointing directly up. Keep hugging your shoulder blades towards your spine, pulling your heart forward. And then just 1 foot at a time, just raise your foot up and then lower it down. And then pick up your opposite foot. lower it down. And then we just pulse 1 foot at a time. Maybe you get some air time so that as you're lowering 1 foot, the other foot lifts up. Can you keep your whole body the same as we just move from one to the other? Maybe you get some hang time so that both shins are parallel at the same time, the big toes touching. Maybe you can release the backs of your knees and then extend your hands forward towards your toes, the palms up. Pause and breathe here. Cross at your ankles and then just come to a seat. Okay, so we've done this before, I think. So you're gonna come into a cross-legged position, but you're gonna keep your left knee bent and then plant your right foot in front of your left. I'm mirroring you here. Okay, so from here, you're gonna reach to the inside of your right leg and then kind of like we did before, you're gonna reach for the big toe mound with your peace sign fingers, okay? So once you have it, that's why we did that shape earlier. You're gonna start to pull your toes up, ground down into your heel. Take your left hand behind you for stability, okay? Walk your right heel forward. And then from here, engage your navel towards your spine and then pick up your foot till your shin is parallel to the earth. Keep flexing into your foot. Okay. And so from here, you can always just stay. If you want, you can keep pushing out through your heel forward and to the right. Doesn't have to straighten all the way. If you want, you can, straightening the arm and the leg. Or keeping it bent and you can just kind of rock it side to side. Getting into the hip, strengthening through the outer hip and the hip flexor. So there's a lot of balance and strength and flexibility required here. Okay, place your right foot down. And then from here, let's tuck our left heel a little bit closer in so that you can cross your right foot over your left if possible, or you can keep it as it is, just as an option. And then roll onto your left hip a little bit and then place the hip back down so you feel it underneath you. Hug your right knee in and then wrap your left arm around your right knee. Kickstand your right hand behind you. Inhale, sit up tall. And then exhale, twist. So seated spinal twist. So here it is again, the Apana, pressing your sitting bones down. And then Prana, lifting the crown of your head. And then a third action of twisting. Gaze forward. Okay, so you're gonna take your right foot, you're gonna uncross it and then push out through the heel. Okay. Plant the sole of your left foot against your right. Okay. Turn towards your right leg. And so from here, just place your right hand by your side and then slide your left hand down your leg towards your ankle. Maybe reach past your foot. And then as you inhale, glide it back. Take your left hand behind you. And then sweep your right hand forward, forward and back. Plant the palm of your left hand and then pick up your hips. But then immediately lower the hips, like you just pressed reverse, and then come back to where we were. Sliding the left hand down your leg. And then crawling the fingertips back. Tracing the horizon with the right hand and picking up our hips. Let's do this one more time. Okay, lower the hips. And then tuck your knee in, just come up to a seat. Let's do that on the other side. So this time, your left knee is lifted. Plant your left foot, sit up tall. This time your left hand, the peace sign fingers will wrap around your big toe. Okay. And then from here, pull your toes back, anchor your heel, and then just start to pick up your heel so the shin is about parallel. And again, you can always just do this as a rocking action. Or as you extend out through your heel, you can start to straighten the leg. Just pause and breathe here. Bend your knee. And as you plant your left foot, keep going so that you scoot your right heel in, cross your left foot over your right thigh. And I always like to pick up my hip and then put it back down so I really feel it. Wrap your right arm around and then come up for a seated spinal twist. Before you fully twist, press down to lift up and then twist. And just pause and breathe here. Gaze forward. Pick up your left foot and then push the heel out to straighten the leg. Okay. Make sure that you're situated. And we're gonna just start to flow. Right hand slides to the top of your left leg, to your ankle and maybe beyond. And then crawl it back. Rotate your torso forward. Sweep your left arm forward. And then as you press down into your palm, you let your hips rise up. And then like pressing reverse, lower down. And do the same thing in reverse. Okay. So do this 2 more times. And once your seat is down, straighten both of your legs in front of you. Okay, so keep your heels down and your toes lifted. So your knees are pretty bent here, but I'd like you to just start to walk your sitting bones back. So we're tilting the pelvis forward. We're gonna come into a seated forward fold from this action. So you can still keep your knees slightly bent, but now your sitting bones, you're perched on them. And then now just start to fold forward. Fold forward onto your legs. You can start to relax your ankles a little bit. Take your time. Just start to roll up, sliding your fingertips towards you. Make sure that you're in the middle of your mat so that you can lay back and you have enough space behind you. And bring the soles of your feet wide and allow your knees to knock together. And place one hand essentially at your solar plexus, so underneath your rib cage, one hand at your low belly. So that as you breathe, try to stretch out through your belly, create space. And exhale, allow your hands to come towards one another as you relax down. Just do this a couple of times. And just relax. And start to sway your knees to the right and gaze to the left. And then switch and move to the other side. Knees to the left, gaze to the right. And just keep going like you are rocking along your sacrum. The next time your knees fall to the right, you can pause here. You can just stay, or if you'd like, you can hook your right ankle along the top of your left knee. You're going to feel this a little bit as a psoas and outer hip opening on the left side. So just pause and breathe here. If your ankle is hooked, unhook your ankle. Place your foot down and then draw your knees to the left. And you choose if you'd like to go deeper or not. Uncross your ankle. Use the strength of your low belly to draw your thighs in. Wrap your hands around your shins. Press your low back down. You can let this be your final shape, or you can reach for the outsides of your feet for happy baby. Then release your feet, gather your knees in. Press your low back down. And just start to bring your nose in towards your kneecaps and curl in. And take a deep breath in here. And as you exhale, release your body. Extend your legs. Allow your arms to rest, either on your body or by your sides. Just pause and breathe here. And as you soften around your eyes, your ears, let your attention rest in the space behind your eyes. Relax your jaw, your throat. Just let your body sink down. Call you back shortly. Just allow your body to breathe here. So you can keep your body relaxed and your eyes closed. And start to notice just the prana. So not just prana as breath, but prana as a lift up, expanding to all corners of your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. And reach your arms up and overhead. And gather your knees in and roll to one side. Press your palms into the earth and come up to sitting. And once you're seated, swivel your hands on top of your heart. And as we bow our head towards our heart, we honor one another. And when you're ready, lift your gaze.